how I do my little mini faces GIFs that I've been doing with my triplets since they were a month old. These GIFs are compiled of 6 still images. So I go and take 6 individual photos of each baby, and then I put all 6 photos together and then turn them into a GIF using Adobe Photoshop. I'm using Adobe Photoshop Creative Cloud, but you can do it in older versions, definitely. So any version of Photoshop, as long as it has this little timeline here, which to get that timeline window, if it's not already up on your thing, you go to window up here and then go down to timeline, and that box should pop up. So to start, I'm going to show you over here on my layers panel. I have 5 images in here right now. So you start with here, then another one, then another one, another one, another one, and so on and so forth. And just for purposes sake, I will show you, here's my last image. I click, drag it over, plop it in, and then Photoshop's pretty good at letting me use the guides to align it within the box. So now that I know that it's good, I'm gonna move this because it's supposed to go all the way to the end there. So we got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Turn that off just for that. Now what you do, I'm gonna close this out. So here is my file with all 6 layers of each image. I'm going to go to this timeline guy here, click on this little menu, and then I'm going to hit make frames from layers. So as soon as I click that, it's going to make each layer into a frame. If I click on play, which is right here, you'll see it cycle through each image really fast. Obviously I want it to be a little slower than that because that's a little absurd. So I click on number 1, hold down shift. I'm on a MacBook. I don't remember what the PC controls would be. I think it's also shift. But I would hold down shift, click all the way to number 6, and it's going to select every single layer. I'm going to go and click on right here where it says 0.5 seconds. I'm going to click that little arrow, and it's going to bring up this little box that's going to show you all these different seconds you can do. So if you want to slow down your image, you want a larger number. If you wanted to go faster, you would do a lower number. Obviously it's too fast, and so what I usually do for all of mine, I've been putting them on 0.5. So I click 0.5 and it's going to change every single one to 0.5. Now if I hit play again, you'll see it cycles through them relatively slow, so you can kind of get a glimpse of each image. Now if your GIF stops playing after the 6th frame, you want to go down here and make sure that forever is selected. Sometimes I think by default it might be just once. So if I were to do that right now and let it play, it's going to go play through all 6 images and it's going to stop at that 6th image. I want it to just continuously cycle through in the GIF, so I click forever and it'll cycle through all 6 images for however long somebody wants to watch it for. So that is basically it. That is essentially how you do it. So I'm going to go and now actually save it as a GIF. I'll show you how to do that. So go to File. In Creative Cloud, you have to go to Export now in order to save for web. In the older versions of Photoshop, there should just be like a Save for Web version up here somewhere. You go to Export, you go Save, Export, Save for Web. And it's going to bring up this, once it loads, any day now, it's going to bring up a box. All right, so here's my Save for Web box. Over here, it's already selected as GIF, but most of the time, I think by default, it'll probably be a JPEG, so we'll just do this for like show purposes here. So I just selected JPEG, so it's a JPEG. My image size is 4,000 pixels wide, which is really massive. So for these GIFs, I actually put them as 2500. So I will do that, hit enter, and it's gonna make the image a little bit smaller. And now I'm gonna go and I'm gonna click GIF. By default, mine remembers all the settings that I usually do for these GIFs. And so if for whatever reason your GIFs are coming up different, these are what I have in my boxes, and it makes it to be the closest to the photographs that I have found. So if you were to do, like, a lot of the times the default GIF might be like 128 colors, it's going to reduce some of the colors in your photograph, and it's not going to look as good. So I make sure it's on the highest amount of colors. I can't really remember exactly what each of these things do. I think if I were to click like perceptual, let's see what happens to her face. Not that much, but I keep it on selective, diffusion, have the transparency box selected, no transparency dither, all that stuff. So if you want to like pause this here and make sure you have all the settings copied, you can do that. I'm going to move on. So I'm going to now just save the GIF. And I already have this saved, but I'll save it to my desktop real quick. This is number 2. Save. And then if I go to my desktop and open this up, I actually don't know if it's going to open up as a GIF in preview. Nope. I have to, in order to usually preview, well, see, it's working now here. So you can see it cycling through, but to see it, you might sometimes want to drag it to your browser. And there you go. And there's a GIF, and you can upload that onto Facebook. You can't do it on Instagram. If you want to upload to Instagram, I'll show you how to do that real quick. You just do the same thing. You go to File, Export, and then you would click Render Video. I usually will make the file size smaller before. So let's see. I won't do it in the save because sometimes it diminishes the quality. So I usually do 2000 pixels wide for the videos on Instagram. It doesn't really matter as long as it's like between that size, it's going to upload in high quality, but you just don't want it like huge and massive. Like 4000 pixels is absurd. The megabyte file size is probably too much for Instagram to even upload. So that's kind of why I make them smaller to begin with. So I'm going to go to Export, Render Video. So now the document size is 2000 pixels wide. Make sure that this is selected, this document size here for the size. Otherwise, you'll get, if you click like widescreen or, HDTV, 180p, all that stuff, sometimes it adds these little like black bars to the side of your video. And then when you try to upload it to Instagram, you can see that and it's just not as good. I find that when I do document size, it doesn't add any borders, none of those black side things, whatever. So that's what I do there. And then I make sure that this preset thing here is just selected on high quality. And that's all you have to do. And then I click render and it will render this little the video ends up being like 3 seconds long. And then I just kind of transfer it over to my phone, which I can then upload this little video into Instagram. And that's how I get it there. I'm not going to render this video, but that's how you do that.